but you don't need to create more content. You get interviewed by someone else podcast. Podcast interviews are the new PR tactics and strategies for 2025. I know you heard me say this before, but you don't need to create more content. You need people talking about you and your business when you're not in the room. Forget about starting a podcast. You want to grow in 2025. You get interviewed by someone else podcast. Ding. Because in the world of AI summaries and click through searches and content fatigue all the time, podcast interviews are the new PR tactics and strategies for 2025. And if you do it right, one conversation can turn into 10 different content ideas for your business. And it will get you leads. It will build SEO for your business as well, because people are going to be searching for you and your business. And you don't have to be creating all that content for 10 days. Nobody wants to actually do that, right? You don't want to be pulling your hair. So let's talk a little bit more about this, and I'll see you inside. Okay. So why podcast interviews beat posting? Now, posting is loud. We've talked about this so many times. We're creating content like content machines all the time, but podcast interviews are a little quiet proof that nobody, like, you suddenly appear in other people's search and algorithms and everything. So you're not yelling to be seen. You are being invited to share your know-how and what you actually know. And what that actually does is that it builds already a 10x plus trust factor, that you are putting yourself out there, and other people that don't know you from another niche or another industry are already discovering what your brand is all about and what your service is all about and your brand. So especially if you're selling like high ticket services and very exclusive services, this is premium real estate marketing strategies for you. Now, you don't need 1,000 listeners. You don't. Especially actually if you're a small business owner and you want to actually get yourself out there, you just need to find the right one that has that right clip that they create and that they share, and the right person that is going to be interviewing you. So that is a job that you a little bit have to do, to be honest. Okay. Now, the SEO and the discovery game that nobody is actually using is that podcast interviews don't just live on Spotify as you know it. They don't. They show up on Google, they show up on Apple, maybe they're being indexed by ChatGPT or Perplexity or YouTube.com or even TikTok search, because some of these people also could be on TikTok. So people are looking for those, which means that one interview that you are doing, that one interview can make your name be discovered in 7 different platforms that you probably are not even in those. And whoa, right? So why not? Without you actually writing one single post or doing one single thing or having to spend hours trying to do that piece of content or that reel or that TikTok reel or that short, whatever it is, you don't have to be doing that because you're going to be on a podcast interview. So because when you go to these podcast interviews, most of the work is being done by the podcaster, the person that is going to be interviewing you. So they're going to be creating the content. They're going to be uploading it. They're going to be putting the SEO, the description. They're going to be doing all the heavy lifting that you don't have to do. So that's why this is really genius. And they need content, to be honest. They need the content. So if you can provide the content for them, win-win, don't you see? Anyway, now let me tell you a little bit how this can work. One interview can turn into 10 days of original content, of you not saying even the same thing. And we're going to be putting it in so many different ways, because this is me trying to explain to you what you can actually do so that you think about it when you are trying to get more leads and trying to get your brand across. So these are the kind of things that you could actually visualize, that you can actually make with one single uh, podcast interviews. You can create little clips for reels and TikToks and YouTube shorts, right? Then you can create little quotes, things that you maybe said, and you can turn those little quotes into maybe a sequence of carousels. So different carousels where you explain a point of view that maybe you had during that interview. You can make different kind of topics that you spoke about, because probably they gave you questions, so you talked about different things about your business. So those little topics, you can pick them up and create and make different angles, and those topics you can turn them into emails, you can turn them into articles that you're building. You can send those to your list, to new people that are coming in, or you can even create like a freebie if you wanted to. Now you can also get the transcripts of that interview, everything that it was talked about, and you can actually turn it into a blog post, and you can post it on Pinterest or share it on LinkedIn. There's so many ways. Now, you could also get the links. Obviously, having the links and for the SEO is much better, because you can actually maybe put some backlinks for more credibility into that link. You can use testimonials as well. And if the host, praises your work, you can share, well, this is what the interviewer said about me and blah, 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 right? You can also, that single episode can actually turn into a searchable and trackable piece of content, because people will actually write the name of that episode, trying to search for it. So the more you promote it, obviously, the more people will actually search for it. So that also helps your SEO. Maybe also this could be turned as a pitch. In, for example, if you're trying to get a certain person or a potential lead, you can always say, check out my interview where we talked about this. So this is another way for you to show your expertise without maybe somebody having to talk to you, and they can actually see you in action, how you respond, and what is your business all about, what are the services that you actually provide. Now, another thing that you could turn it into a newsletter, right? Something that you make, maybe you're on Substack like I am, and you can take that and develop it as different kind of angles that you want to share, or maybe you're charging for your Substack, or who knows, right? So, and then the last one that I would say is for visibility, really, is like one clip can actually hit multiple different kinds of people, but also the algorithm, because that one clip can get seen by other people, but also they would actually, well, in theory, a lot of people actually do tag you when they're uploading a clip. So if they tag you and you're a collaborator, for example, on Instagram, that will be great, because those people that are already know that podcast will be liking that clip, and your people will get to know, oh, wow, they went to this show. Wow, that is so interesting. It's a different perspective. It is not the kind of same conversation that we're having every single day in our content, but you're in a different, more relaxed setting where people get to see and hear your point of view. Now, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is how to actually get interviewed. Now, you don't need a big PR team. You don't need to pitch that doesn't feel like a CV or like a resume. You just simply need to understand who you want to attract as your ideal potential podcast interviewer. Now, let me give you a few things. The first thing that you got to do is for your pitch formula is that when you're writing to these people, to these podcasters, you are either going to be doing it by email or you're going to be doing it on a form. And I tell you, I mean, I've been doing this for the last year, so I've had a lot of experience when it comes to this, because my team has helped me pitch for other podcasts. So the first thing that we need to understand is like, who do you help? It is not about bragging. Just simply, I mean, I tell you, one of the first things that you have to do is a little bit of research, because Nobody likes to do this work. And this is the actual work that you will actually do. And if you want to be doing this properly and in the right way, I suggest you ask ChatGPT to help you do this sort of research. And then in that email or that form, you're going to be saying, who do I help? But you also have to tell them what is that podcast all about. If you don't tell them why you interested in, or if you're doing that research, like say, like I saw the last episode that you did on this and that. So tell them that you understand and you know, and you've done your research and you could be a viable person to get interviewed because they get so many requests and people actually that do podcast interviews, they need content. And if you can provide that content for them, you are golden because it is a win-win situation. You're going to get more visibility for your brand and they're going to get more people to actually listen to their podcast because you bring your own people, right? Now, the second thing is you got to tell them what you're known for. So tell them a little bit more about you. If you could, in the email version, not in the other way, obviously in the form, but you in the email version, you can actually link it to maybe your about page or something so they can see a little bit more about who you are. Of if you've had other podcast interviews, you can actually put them there. Why not? I mean, take advantage because you only have one time to actually pitch for that podcast interview. So this email needs to be bulletproof, like really good, no bragging, no brainer for them and for you, of course. Now, the third thing would have to be the bold take that you want to take. So I personally don't like to tell other people what I like to talk about, but I could tell them that I am known for such and such. Like I help service-based business owners um, use their words to get more leads. So that is something that is quite interesting and is not so many people talking about it. So they want to a little bit know a little bit more. But I personally would like to have interviews that are a little bit more relaxed, more off the cuff, because I've been to podcast interviews and I've had people that I've interviewed that are so into the questions and into the answers and they rehearse them. And I've had to stop certain podcast interviews and I said, you know what? Take a beat, take a breath, uh, relax, give me your authentic person because I know how you are. But if the camera or the microphone is getting you shy and then it's not working. So I don't try to pitch what I want to talk about. I rather it's a little bit more loose and more authentic because that's also what everybody wants to actually uh, hear. They want to hear somebody that is authentic, but they have a know-how, they have an expertise. So I would not pitch so much unless you think that is you need it. You need it. But again, what would be the thing that you would like to share? Okay. Now, the fourth thing that I would say would be why their audience will care. And this is really, to be honest, on the other side, when you're a podcast interviewer, like, what's in it for me? Like, why should I actually get you on my show? What do you have to give into my people? That is where really I would say is that when you really have to double down and say why you think you are the right person for that audience. But and I'm telling you this in a way that I've had a lot of people come to me and pitch me other people and they have nothing to do with my world. They have nothing and like you get all these people like for example you get like on DMs or YouTube which I get all the time. You get these comments they're like, "Oh, your video should be this and that. Let me do the SEO." I'm like, "Listen, if you would took like 2 minutes or 5 minutes to even look at my content or even because I've had people that said to me, no, let me do your marketing. I'm like, do you know really what I talk about? I mean, I don't think you know what I do. So why would I mean, really, let's not be that kind of people. Let's not, and I hope you're not because you wouldn't be here. But make sure that you actually do tell them what's in it for them. Why is it better? This is your pitch moment. So why would they care? You tell them why would they care? What that audience would care. Because you don't want to waste their time. You don't want to waste your time. I tell you. Now, the fifth thing that I would say that you would need to do, if you would like, it's optional. I don't do it, but you can do it because maybe that is a show that you really want to be in. Maybe you create a little clip or a little video where you share who you are, what you do, and why you're so excited to be on that podcast. You can put it in um, yeah, in within the email. Why not? It makes it a little bit more personal. You can put it in a Dropbox. You can put it on a YouTube as as a hidden kind of video, whatever you feel that you need to do. But if it's something that you think that would actually improve your pitch, then I would go ahead and do that. Now, don't overcomplicate it. This is not a complicated process. The only thing that I would say to you that is complicated is for you to do a little bit of research and listen to them. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You gotta listen to who you want to talk to. I've gone to certain people that I didn't like what they were saying. So I didn't feel like I was meant to be in their podcast. And I've had my team and I said, no, 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 no. And they're like, why not? Well, first, because maybe they don't have remote podcasting. So if you're going to be remote on a remote podcasting, make sure and check their socials that they have remote podcasting. If they only do in-person podcast interviews, that is not the podcast for you. If they don't share their podcast, then don't be in that podcast. If they haven't posted a podcast since, like, I don't know, in December, then it's not worth your time. You will have to check all those little boxes on where you want to be. So be sure that, and I would say the bigger the podcast, it's not the best place because they actually do charge for you to actually go into the podcast. And they're usually fully booked as well. So the smaller the podcast, the better it is. And I don't mean podcast as in like maybe you don't know them. They could be small and they could have the highest converting audience that you're not even aware of. So don't overcomplicate it really. And try and find that good host that is not, the perfect ones. They don't have to be the perfect ones, but I would say, and I would say this to you if I could give you an advice. Try and find a podcast interviewer that will enhance what you already do. You don't even have to go into your own niche of podcasts. You can go into other things that you do. But if what you do, if what your service provides can actually help another group of people that don't know you, that are completely unknown to what you do, but you can actually help them as well. Maybe you haven't opened your horizons to new people to attract, then go for it. Why not? But make sure that what they're saying in their show resonates with who you want to serve as well, and you as a business owner. Because although they are the ones that are actually choosing, you are also choosing them. You are also choosing them because if you do a pitch, it's because you want them, right? So if you gonna want them, you gotta choose right. I don't know if I'm rumbling here. Anyway, the last thing that I wanted to share is that this is not just a PR stunt. This is actually a lead generation strategy because, like I said, you are not doing the interviews. They are doing all the work. Make sure they're actually doing the work. Just because we're not going to be doing podcasts just because. Just because. No, just because everybody does it. No, we don't need to be that. But you're actually doing the podcast to build trust with cold leads that they don't actually know who you are yet. And you're going to get discovered on platforms that you're not posting daily because they're going to be posting on other stuff that you probably post once or twice or one platform or two platforms, and they're posting in all these other places that you gonna get discovered, and you're gonna turn that one conversation into a full content stack of content because you're gonna chop it into million little pieces. And you're going to have proof of your voice and of your brain and what you've been doing and your point of view, which is really important because not many people realize that once you are discovered by new people, it is interesting when you get to uncover somebody that was invisible in a way. So this is a great way to showcase who you are. Now, this also helps you to be searchable because those people that didn't know you are going to start searching for you and your business. So they're going to be typing. So it's going to be like a SEO kind of magic that is going to be happening. This is exactly how real growth looks like in 2025. Strategically, repeatedly, and quietly. Be aware to find the right podcast for your business. Don't choose the biggest one. You don't have to go with the highest one or the biggest one. They're usually, like I said, they charge money. They charge money and you don't have to be there. When you're starting with podcast interviews, go to free ones, but free ones that you understand. Look at their socials, really, really look at their socials. You'll be surprised how people actually don't promote as well their podcasts, but they're good ones there. They're good ones. Now, go for the same niche or go outside of other industries where you think your whole audience will be and they could be there and they could get to actually discover you. Now, you don't need a podcast. And I'm going to finish off with this. You don't need a podcast. You need a paper trail of proof that people can find before they actually hire you, before they actually book you, and before they actually buy from you. This is when you are actually doing a pitch to somebody, to a business, because these podcast interviews, and I'm sorry, I'm going to extend myself here. These podcast interviews could be even your in the bottom of your email. It could be anywhere. You can share this anywhere on your website, your link in bios, articles everywhere. So don't be afraid of doing this. And I know you're gonna get this because it's an easy breezy kind of thing that you can actually do or have your team do it for you. Okay, so this is all for me. I hope you had a great day. And you listened to all of this, and I love that you're here listening to the podcast. And be sure to come back for more. Anyway, I see you very soon. Goodbye.